Hey everybody, it's Carson Gordy, the Champaign sports anchor, and I just got a report for the first time since 2018 of December, Illinois basketball lost to Nebraska. This was a game where Illinois, they were 3.5-point favorites. Nebraska was on a 6-game losing streak, and this was a game that Illinois wanted to win with a tough stretch coming up. You know, you got UCLA, you got Michigan, you got Ohio State. And Illinois just did not look like they were in it. They were down 10 points at halftime. No Tomislav Ivicic again out with mono. But what really killed Illinois was going 10 of 42 from the three-point line. Kylan Boswell, Jake Davis, Ben Hummerkaus just could not hit three-point shots. And probably even worse was the turnovers. Illinois had 17 turnovers, and 6 of them were from Kasper Yakachonis, who is projected to be a top 5 pick in the NBA next year. This was only KJ's probably second bad game of the year, if you want to add the game against Maryland, and it came at the wrong time. This is Brad Underwood in the post-game press conference.
I write on the board every game, 10 turnovers or less. You cannot turn it over on the road. We repeatedly made scouting report mistakes. Without Tommy, we're really thin up front.
And Brad's right. You can't have a bunch of turnovers. And we've seen that's been an issue with Kylan Boswell in numerous games this year. And we're starting to see it become more of a regular problem with Kasper Yakachonis. And no doubt, like when you're 7'1" center, 250 pounds is not able to play, that really hurts the front court depth. You know, we saw it last game. Rez Johnson was able to get away with it against Northwestern. But when he's off or he has foul trouble, Illinois is in trouble. Because you're throwing Ben Hummerkaus, who's only 6'8" at the 5. You're throwing Kerry Booth, who's not big. He's tall, but a very skinny guy. He is a liability on defense. You got Jake Davis having to play down low. So Nebraska was able to get a lot of easy buckets, especially with Drawn Gary.
What is challenging is that we've had 2 games without Kasparas. We're 3 now without Tommy. Tommy's played 6 in 2 of them, and KJ's played 8 minutes in 1 of them. So it's nice when we have our pieces and would like to continue to grow. It is frustrating for me because I know where we can be and what we were getting to. Tonight's frustrating for me because of the mental lapses that we had that we haven't been making, and I don't know when we get whole again. I don't. We'll know more, as we continue to move forward. But Tommy's a big piece of what we do, and Merez was becoming that. We got the number 1 defense in the country when those two were on the floor together.
And it's tough because you don't know when Ivicic is going to come back. He's got mono. My dad had mono in college, and he was telling me it takes a month or 6 weeks to even get the energy to go back to class and have a social life. Do we really expect Ivicic to come back in a matter of a couple of days and be ready to play Division I college basketball against good Big Ten teams? I mean, this is an illness that could linger for the rest of the year. You can't count on having Tomislav anymore this year. Rez Johnson has a high ceiling, but he's inconsistent. And they only gave up 70 points in regulation. The defense isn't as strong when Ivicic is out. The bigger issue is the offense. Just bottom line, Illinois, they're shooting too many three-point shots. They are 17th out of 18th in the Big Ten in three-point efficiency, and they're shooting a ton of them. So that's less opportunities to drive to the rim with Kylan Boswell or Kasper Yakachonis. That's less booty ball opportunities for Ben Hummerkaus. And it's unfortunate because I know this team was structured around the three-point shot. Preseason, Brad said the defense sucked and they couldn't guard a 7th-grade middle school team, but the offense was going to be really good because of that offensive chemistry and deep shot ability. Kylan Boswell shot 38% last year at Arizona. This year, he's shooting in the 20s. It's been 3 months. Ben Hummerkaus went 0 for 8 yesterday. You take away the Penn State game, you take away the Oregon game, he's struggled since Thanksgiving. Will Riley, he makes a couple shots, he'll go on a tear where he scores 10 straight points, and then he starts forcing up 4 shots. I think he gets a little bit overconfident and gets the green light, and he's making shots that you're not supposed to be shooting. And honestly, we touched on it earlier with the turnovers. Kylan Boswell and Kasper Yakachonis have to play smarter. Even if Ivicic is out, that needs to be fixed. I view these as exclusive issues. And Brad Underwood, to give him credit, He's won the most Big Ten games in the last 5 years. He's gotten guys like Marcus Dumas. He's gotten guys like Shannon, and he's able to develop pretty good players. And I think Illinois is really talented this year, but there's not that senior leadership that they had last year. Shannon, Coleman Hawkins, and Marcus and Quincy. I think they need a little more structure on the offense. We're starting to see some parallels with that Matt Meyer 2022-2023 team. That was a team with a bunch of big stars. They were super athletic. They were ranked and had big wins over Texas and UCLA. You see the parallels this year. We got a bunch of new guys. They got big wins over Oregon and Wisconsin and Arkansas at the time. But you're seeing the flaws when you're not making your 3-point shots. You're seeing the flaws when the point guard plays in as strong as you would like. And all of a sudden, Illinois this year, they're 14-7, 6-5 in the Big Ten, 7th place in the Big Ten. They're dropping in KenPom. They were top 10 yesterday. Now they're top 18. This is make it or break it if Illinois wants to get a manageable NCAA tournament seed. They're going to make the NCAA tournament. But this team, like what we heard was Brad Underwood said, the highest ceiling he's had. This team can be Final Four good if we're whole. I don't think a lot of Illinois fans want a 9 seed and losing in the round of 64. I don't think that's the expectation. And there was always a debate which team was better. The Elite Eight team last year or this team with, a lottery pick with Yaka Jonas and Will Riley and Kylan Boswell. It's clear last year was better. You knew Terrence Shannon was going to score 20 points per game. You knew Marcus would be able to create some shots when the 3-point shot wasn't falling. He was a great booty ball guy. Dan could get you 12 points a game down low. Not the best defensive player, but he could score. Coleman Hawkins was one of the most underrated, versatile defensive players. Yeah, he wasn't good guarding Zach Edey, but nobody was. And Coleman was a darn good 3-point shooter last year. Last year's team was great because of retention. 2022 was rough. But those top guys stayed and got a next year, and they got more comfortable, and Shannon didn't take a first half off anymore. He was great both halves. And that's why he was a first-round pick. That's the thing with this Illinois team. I'm not going to get mad. You got 12 new guys. I bought into the hype that they could have a higher ceiling. It's just not true. When you have a lot of young guys like that, it takes time. So next year, you would love to get Boswell back and Hummerkaus, and you get back Ivicic and Rez Johnson have one of the best front courts in America. And then Will Riley blossoms. And that guy that we saw for 5 minutes against Michigan State, that guy that we saw in Nebraska in the second half where he's confident drilling 3-point shots, you can build a team around him. And then Brad always recruits, so he's going to get another good point guard. So this year, just play your heart out and, hopefully it gets better. Obviously, you want to see better 3-point shooting, less turnovers. But the program's strong. They're going through a rough patch, but it's not the end of the world. And, looking at the next team coming up, it is the Ohio State Buckeyes. This is a team that's a 10 seed in bracketology, and this is Jake Diebler's first year as the full-time head coach. He replaced Chris Holtman last year in the middle of the year, and they played darn good. They beat number 1 Purdue. Defensive intensity was better, and Ohio State kind of recruits itself. So Diebler this year, though, it's been a little inconsistent. They're 13-8, and they had some preseason expectations. And they've been a little streaky. Over the last 6 games, they're 3-3. They had 3 one-score losses to Oregon, Indiana, and Wisconsin. And now they've won 3 in a row, dominating Iowa and Penn State and actually beating Purdue on the road. Not many teams win at Mackey. Now, the next challenge for Ohio State is going to be winning at the State Farm Center on Sunday, taking on an Illinois team that's also desperate to get a win. When you look at advanced analytics, Illinois is 18th in KenPom, and Ohio State is right on their tail at 24th. They got the 32nd best offense in America and the 21st best defense. The scoring is very top-heavy. They got 4 guys that are scoring in double digits. And the big guy that you want to watch out for is Bruce Thornton. He's a guard that's been there for 3 years. He's averaging 17 points per game. Phenomenal free throw shooter. But specifically the 3-point shot, 45%. That would be the highest in Illinois by a mile. Illinois' top guys, Yaka Jonas at 37%. Ben Hummerkaus is number 2 at 30%. This is since Thanksgiving. Boswell and Riley are below 30%. Illinois would love a guy like Bruce Thornton. He's a pretty good guard. Got another guy named Devin Royal. He's a forward. He's not going to score a lot from the 3-point line, but he's a good post player, averaging 14 points per game. You got Mobley. He's also shooting 40% from beyond the arc. And then Micah Parrish, who's from San Diego State. He was a transfer. Also played at a group of 5 school before San Diego State. He's shooting 36% from deep. So this is an offense that's pretty good. They're scoring 80 points per game and shooting 36% as a team from the 3-point line. That's 80th out of 350 teams in college basketball. That's a pretty good clip. That's top 25%. The big ones that you see from Ohio State this year, they beat Kentucky when they're number 4 in the country. They smoked them, neutral site. And then winning at Purdue. I mean, they were down 16 points, and that kind of saved Ohio State's season. If Ohio State loses to Purdue, we're talking NIT this year. And now they could really use a win over Illinois. Illinois is still beloved by the analytics despite having 7 losses. If Ohio State wants to get off the bubble, Sunday is a big matchup. However, the computers are giving Illinois a 72% chance of victory. This is an area where you're not going to have Ivisic, man. This is going to be a big game from Rez Johnson to really lock up Royal. And this is going to be a big game where Illinois wants to force those long-range twos. Brad Underwood is big into analytics. His son has got him into analytics. Illinois on offense, they want to shoot a lot of threes and get a lot of layups. And on defense, they want to take away the layups and 3-point shots. They want you to shoot long-range twos. Worth less points than a 3 and also harder to make than a layup. That's kind of Brad's DNA. And the State Farm Center, this is an area that has actually not been the craziest home court advantage this year. That's no attack on the fans. I don't really know I don't know if it has to do with the noise or the fans. Just bottom line, Illinois has lost games against USC at 11 a.m. on that Saturday. And they also lost to Maryland by 21 points on that Thursday. Lost to Tennessee, number 1 team in the country. If Illinois wants to get that manageable seed, you got to beat the Buckeyes, man. Upcoming schedule is brutal. I got it right here. At Rutgers, they're playing 2 NBA lottery picks. I don't care. The rack's tough. That's a tough game, having to play 2 NBA lottery picks. At Minnesota, worst team in the Big Ten, beat Oregon and Michigan at the barn. You can't sleep on that. UCLA at home, on fire. Just killed Oregon. Mick Cronin, one of the best coaches in the country. Michigan State at home, undefeated at Big Ten play. Michigan State and Tom Izzo. Great rebounding team. Good defense. Tough. At Wisconsin. Illinois hasn't lost Wisconsin since I was a senior in high school, so 2019. Wisconsin can score. They're a top 15 team offensively in the country, and they got to win at the Kohl Center. It's going to be tough. Playing Duke at Madison Square Garden. Duke's number 2 in the country. They could win a national title. Cooper Flagg's phenomenal. Tough game. At Michigan, one of the best front courts in America. Is Illinois going to have Thomas Ivisic? And finally, hosting Purdue on Senior Day. Purdue's number 8 in KenPom, by far the highest team in the Big Ten. Trey Rain Kaufman, incredible this year. 17 points per game, up from 6. He's one of the best front court scorers in America. Foster Lawyer's shooting nearly 48% from the field, much higher from last year's 40%. Braden Smith could be Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. He's scoring 15 points per game and 9 assists and is drilling over 40% of his 3-point shots. Matt Painter's one of the best in the business. So Illinois 14-7. There's a real world if they are messing around with turnovers and poor shooting. The schedule is just that tough in the Big Ten. They could go 19-12. And then we're talking an 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. And then you got to play 9 seed in the round of 64. And then a 1 seed in the second round. That makes your path to the Sweet 16 a lot harder. This was an Illinois team, after Indiana, a lot of people in the media are like, this could be a Final Four team. When you got a generational guard like Kasparz, when you had Thomas Ivisic healthy, when Ben Hummerkaus, the Evansville transfer, was drilling 40% of his threes, when Kylan Boswell was one of the best on-ball defenders in America. And we've not seen the consistency like last year. Last year, we knew Terrence Shannon Jr. was going to score 20 points per game. And if he couldn't shoot the 3-point shot, well, he was damn well going to get to the free throw line and make layups. You knew Marcus was going to score 14 points per game. You knew Dan could give you 10 points down low. It just this year, outside of Kaspers Yakichonis, and I know Kaspers has had a couple bad games, but come on. He's great. He's the one guy you can count on to score 15 points per game and get others involved. Has he been a little sloppy at the turnovers? Yes, but he's been great all year. He's had 2 bad games. I don't know if you can really trust Bam, Kylan Boswell to put together 2 offensive halves. And Will Riley, we just haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. Mraz Johnson, good defensive player, but we're not seeing the offense. Trey White was going from averaging, in early January, he was scoring 16, 17, 18 points per game. Now he's in the single digits. He's still a really good rebounder, but we're not seeing that offense. This was an offense that we thought could score 95 points per game and be one of the best in America. It's been a struggle. But yeah, that's all I got for this Ohio State preview of just big win for Illinois if they want to get back on track and become national darlings again. Ivisic might be out with mono again. Illinois, they're going to be favorites to win. I mean, the computers are giving them 72% chance. They'll probably be a 5.5 and a 6.5 point favorite against the Buckeyes. But if Ohio State's draining threes, if Ohio State's able to get Mraz Johnson in foul trouble, this could be a tough game, man. You got to respect Ohio State. This is a team that beat Kentucky and Purdue. So should be a fun one. And we'll have the coverage games at CBS at 2:00 at noon on Sunday. I'm Carson Gordy. Take care. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to watch more videos from News Channel 20.